I like where we are in the stand-ins. I think there's a lot to grow from. I hope this team is a lot better going forward. It's sort of like happy where we are, but I want to be better, and I think we need to be better going forward to really. It's going to be a dogfight this whole year for this division.
Well, we are back with episode number 5 of 2 On 2 Out with Andrew and Bob. Bob, thanks for coming back. I'm really glad you're here, because doing this by myself would be a bummer.
I am happy to be back. I am totally here by my own will and not because you threatened me in any way.
Yeah, it's actually a good thing there's no webcams on, because I believe you're holding up a sign that says "Help me," but no one can see it. So,
damn it.
Well, thank you, all you beautiful people, for tuning in as we go over the last week of Phillies baseball and some of the topics that come along with it. So another road trip. Phillies went out to Colorado and then to St. Louis, not San Francisco, as I, for some reason, insisted they go. But they didn't.
You were booking their power plan, so
yeah, right, yeah. So things kicked off last Friday with a game against the Rockies. Phillies lose the first game of this road trip, 5-4. Vince Velasquez gets the start. That name might ring familiar if you've watched a game in the last few years or just heard people screaming. But he goes 4 innings with 2 earned runs. Not bad. A lot of pitches. It just seems to be his MO that he can't get very far into games. We've gone back and forth for years, literally, about whether or not we see Vince as a starting pitcher, and this is just another case of he's just not going to make it there, and
nope.
It's kind of a shame. So yeah, 4 innings, 2 earned runs for him. So not terrible, but you like to see a guy get into the 5th and 6th inning there. Bullpen comes into this game. They gave up 3 earned runs, 1 each in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. That 9th inning run was off of Hector Neris, a walk-off home run to Ramiel Tapia of the Rockies. So the Phillies had it tied going into the 9th, but Neris gives up the save there. But Neris has been pretty solid this year, so I don't it sucks in the moment, but I don't think what am I looking to say here? It's not damning on Neris there. You can't expect him to be perfect all year. So Phillies lose that opening game. I don't think there was anything too very exciting there if you're a Phillies fan. But on Saturday, we saw the return of Aaron Nola to the mound, and the Phillies win in his start, 7-5 over the Rockies. 7 innings from Nola, 4 earned runs, and Neris bounces back. He gets the save in that one. Rhys Hoskins has 2 home runs in that game. One was a pretty late game 3-run homer to put the Phillies ahead. Also notable, Roman Quinn got the start in center field that day. No more Mickey Moniak in that one. So they split the first 2 games of the series. It was definitely nice to see Hoskins. Not that he hasn't had power all year, but pops 2 home runs there, and we'll see he'll have a couple more on this road trip. Where do you see Hoskins ending up this year in his home run total?
I think we mentioned it in the over-under for home runs. Did we mention it? Look back. We did. I think I set the over-under at 29.5. We both went under 29.5, which is not looking great at this pace. I mean, it is only the first month of the season, and people go on streaks, and he can go on a massive cold streak, which he has in the past. He's gone on streaks where you don't know where he is in the lineup. He gets absolutely cold sometimes, which is it's a fear of mine. But hey, we talked about how this lineup is potentially very dangerous, although still striking out a lot and leaving a lot of minimum base. And we're still waiting on it to fully click into gear. But here's hoping Hoskins stays hot for a long while.
Well, yeah, like I said, two home runs in that game, and we'll get more into him later. And he continued to hit well.
I think he hit more home runs than the Braves did all week. I think I saw that stat.
Yeah, I don't have anything here to prove that, but I'm going to believe you, and for multiple reasons. One, you're a trustworthy guy, and two, anything that sounds like we're better than the Braves, I'm going to take it. So, yeah, that's a good point. I like it. Thanks for bringing that to the table here. But another guy that showed a little pop, as he has been all year, Bryce Harper in Sunday's game. Phillies would lose that one 12-2, unfortunately, but Harper had two massive home runs out to right field, and Coors Field, you tend to see those just absolute bombs. But first one I know was well over 400 feet into right, and then the second one he hit. By the way, both solo home runs, the only offense for the team that day. But that second one, off the top of my head, I think it was 468 feet, maybe 486, something like that, down the tunnel in right field, and just beautiful swings. And it's like we talked about last week how well Bryce has been hitting, and to go back to back with Hoskins like that, 2 straight games with 2 home runs, it was it's just nice to see. But that's really the only positive in that game. Chase Anderson, your 5th starter, maybe 6th starter now, whatever he is. 3 2/3 innings pitched. He ends up with 6 earned runs on his line, and that's because he'd get pulled in that 4th inning. David Hale comes in to try to clean things up, and unfortunately, with the bases loaded, he gives up a grand slam to Trevor Story, and it just the bleeding kept going from there. I guess one thing of note in that game, Bailey Falter makes his MLB debut. 2 innings pitched, 2 earned runs given up, and I guess that's not too bad for your first time on a major league mound. So a bit of an ugly series there. You get the home runs from Hoskins and Harper, but the Phillies lose 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. I don't think either one of us saw them, going out to Colorado and sweeping. But they certainly could have won that first game. You're going to have games like Sunday where you get blown out, but they could have taken 2 out of 3. Was there anything in that series? And we're going to get into this Cardinal series. I feel like a lot more happened in those 4 games. But anything in that Rocky series that kind of stuck out to you, or kind of made you say, "All right, here's definitively something I see with this team."
Not much. Besides the home runs by Reese and Bryce, not much positive. I think they struck out over 10 times twice that series.
Yeah.
I'm going back in the box scores right now to see if it's all 3 games. Yeah, no. Twice in that series, the team struck out over 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
They were not great with runners in scoring position. Left a lot of men on base. You talked about the last couple weeks that this offense has the potential of being really good, but we haven't seen it click fully into gear. We've seen guys have good days, but it never seems to be consistently multiple guys having multiple good days in a row. It seems to be Reese is on fire, and then JT's doing well, and then Bryce is doing well. It never seems to be able to do everybody clicking on the same page for multiple days in a row.
Yeah, and kind of what you're getting at there is there's no consistency, and it doesn't help that they're constantly having to center field is just a rotating door of players. You had Didi hurt for a little bit. Gene Segura is still in the injured list. Nick Matons looks great at second, but there's just no consistent lineup. It's changing almost every day, and I think it is hard to it's going to be hard to put together a potent consistent offense if you're not going to have a the same or a similar lineup every day. So maybe it gets to a point where everybody's healthy and they really start to rattle off the runs. But right now it's ugly.
Yeah. And you also need starters who can go more than 4 innings.
Sure.
The 4th and 5th starters are averaging less than 5 innings pitched, which is not great. Eventually, it's gonna hurt you when 2 out of your 5 pitchers can't make it into the 5th or 6th inning.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the center field position. We've gotten 0 production from. We'll talk about a guy who's made a comeback or returned to the lineup this season. Bohm has just not been hitting fastballs for whatever reason. Ramuto is on fire. He's been hitting great. And I saw on MLB's Instagram, I think it was today, where they had Bryce 3rd in the NL, I guess, stand-ins as far as MVP race so far.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's good. It's just, center field always seems to be nothing from there. The pitcher spot is nothing from there. And then with Bohm not hitting well and no one clicking at the same time, it's just been a very frustrating offense to watch, and hoping to change that soon.
Well, yeah, and with those struggles, we saw some changes going into the Cardinals series. So, first off, we didn't have Andrew McCutchen for those first 2 games. They were giving him some time to try to work things out and get his swing back. We said it before, we're not going to get the MVP Andrew McCutchen back, but
no.
I like to believe there's still a starting left fielder in him. He's not going to be an all-star, but there is a solid left fielder and leadoff guy there. He's still walking. I don't have the current stats in front of me, but I know he was hitting. His hitting was under 200, but his on base was over 300. So he was still walking and getting on base. With the walk, but it definitely needs to get that batting average up. And then to his left in center field, I think we all knew it was coming at some point this year. Odubel Herrera finally gets the call up from the AAA team, and he would get all 4 starts in this Cardinals series. They send Mickey Moniak back down. Let's get into it first of all with Odubel Herrera. To get my opinion on the whole situation, I didn't want to see him come up. I haven't seen anything from Odubel to me that says he is sorry or that he's put any effort into bettering himself. Now, there's a lot of this that can and should be done privately. There's a lot that goes into it, and I guess just for anyone that doesn't know, Odubel, back middle of 2019, suspended by MLB for allegedly, I think he was hitting his girlfriend, leaving marks on her neck. The ultimate end to their court battle, I believe, was the girlfriend dropping charges, but he did still receive suspension from the MLB. Like I said, to me, I haven't seen anything that tells me he's made any progress. And again, there's totally a possibility that behind closed doors, he's doing the right things, taking classes or giving his time at charities, whatever it is. But I feel like if this is someone that, I'm buying tickets to go to these games, or, I'm investing my time to watch on TV, I think as a fan base, we deserve some sort of public statement or just something that gives us an idea he actually is working at it, instead of just parading him out there and trying to act like it didn't happen. I feel like I'm rambling now, so I'm curious to get your opinion on this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Nothing that I've seen either shows any sort of remorse as far as I believe he may have apologized when it first came out, which everybody does, but there's nothing that I've seen that he's worked at to sort of make the situation any better. It's just it's just a very difficult situation, and I'm no way defending his actions, but I would rather have not had this sort of headache return.
Yeah.
It just is not It wasn't needed, in my opinion. I understand where they're coming from a baseball standard. Is this they were getting zero production from center field.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give this guy a try, see if he can do anything. He's not doing anything. He hasn't had a hit since he's been here. So it's a headache that is just not needed.
No, like you said, it hasn't. I mean, even if he were to come up and hit, go 6 for 12 with 3 home runs or whatever, even then it's like, great from a baseball standpoint. Yeah, they probably win more games out there in St. Louis.
I don't want to see him out there for a variety of reasons. And I'd rather him just go away.
Yeah, and I mean, and I guess to put a bow on it, I trust me, I'm all in on second chances and all that stuff. This is hard because whether she dropped the charges or not, I think all the evidence points to something happening there, and second chances are different when you're talking about a guy who's going to be put out on a national team like this, and he's going to be part of the face of the team and making millions of dollars. It's just different than a the average Joe.
It is. Yeah. It is a privilege to be able to be a major leaguer.
Great.
In any sport, right? To play at a professional level on any sport is a privilege. It's not it's not a right for you to be here, and it's just it doesn't feel right seeing him out there. That's just the gut feeling. They're just like, why is he out there? That's just the feeling I get when I see him.
Yeah. Well, so to get into the Cardinals series, game 1 Monday night saw Zach Wheeler versus Adam Wainwright, and I know that in the past we talked about our how we like to see baseball played. I get wanting to see home runs and all that fun stuff, but this one was a classic pitcher's duel. Both guys. It's the first time all year that both starting pitchers made it through the first 8 innings of a game. Zach Wheeler gets into the 9th. I think he gave up a leadoff walk to. I
was like, come on.
Yeah, gives up a leadoff walk to Matt Carpenter, and I think at that point his pitch count was at like 114. So it made sense. Yeah, it made sense to pull him at that point. By the way, before we get to the end, Adam Wainwright did go. He went all 9 innings. The only offense he gave up was 2 solo home runs to Rhys Hoskins, which, by the way, that second one gave him the major league lead at the time with 8. So when Hector Neris came in, runner at first in Carpenter, he did allow Carpenter to score eventually, but he would end the game by getting Paul Goldschmidt to pop up, and then Nolan Arenado. I think everyone watching and everyone in that stadium thought he had hit a walk-off home run because he drove a ball out to at the left center, but Odubel made the catch on the warning track, or at least near the warning track, and Neris got the save, so the Phillies win that opening game 2-1. Like we talked about before, Hoskins just went on this nice little streak here of popping a few home runs. I don't know if it stands at this very moment, but he was tied with Ronald Acuna Jr. at 8 home runs for the major league lead. So, that's pretty cool to see. Him showing that power and getting recognized at the top like that. What do you think? Do you like a game like this where you got both pitchers going into the 9th like that, or do you prefer like a 10-6 ball game?
I always prefer a blowout in anything. Like I like watching 2 pitchers go at it. I like watching close games if it's not my team. Any sport, watching close games in any sport. If it's my team, if our pitcher throws a no-hitter, that's great. We need to score 10 runs. To make me feel better. So it's fun to watch, but I was very, very nervous the entire time. And update on that, Hoskins is still tied for first in home runs.
Very cool.
He was tied with McCann from the Rockies, Buxton from the Twins, and Acuna Jr. of the Braves. So it's a 4-way tie for the major league leader in home runs.
Cool. So like we were talking about, he will go on some cold streaks, but hopefully he can keep consistent. Right now he's on a pace 8 home runs 6 months in a season, so he's on pace for 48 home runs, which would make us both very wrong in our predictions, and I'd be okay with that.
Even if he slows down just slightly, it would still beat our number of what we said.
Yeah, he has a legitimate shot at 40. So, we'll see. We'll see what how it goes. You can't expect him to stay hot all year, but it'd be nice to see. So we get into Tuesday's game, which is not as nice to see. Phillies lose that 1-5-2. Zach Eflin, 6 2/3 innings. He ends up with 5 earned runs. A couple of those runs are because, Sean Coonrod, what's his first name? Coonrod comes into the game, gives up a 2-run double. And the Cardinals just kind of didn't look back from there.
It is Sam Coonrod.
Sam Coonrod, wow. I don't know why I couldn't remember. He's been solid this year. That's disrespectful on my part because he's been a solid reliever this year, and I couldn't remember his first name. So, Sam, if you're listening, I apologize. Also in that game, Jose Alvarado made his return off of the injured list. Pitched a scoreless eighth. I really like watching him pitch. It's when he's hitting 100, 101 on the gun and all that movement on his pitches. Yeah,
2 strikeouts. That's what I like to see. I like seeing big power arms. Who would have thunk that we would have power arms in the bullpen?
Yeah.
What a concept. Not a concept that you would think under Matt Klentak, but under Dombrowski, power arms are back, baby. Yeah.
I'm all here for it. And then in Wednesday's game, Phillies took the W in that one. They win 5-3. Another game started by Vince Velasquez. Again, 4 1/3 innings. He just can't get out of that fourth. Allows 3 earned runs. After he leaves the game, bullpen went 4 2/3 of their own scoreless. So that was a nice showing from the bullpen. A couple guys out there, made some scoreless appearances. Big occurrence in the 6th inning of this one, though. Why don't you want to describe the situation of we just kind of watched a breakdown of what happened. If you want to explain what happened in that 6th inning for the Phillies.
Oh, Andrew was the 6th inning of the adventure. In comes Genesis Cabrera for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he just had a great inning for himself. Hits Bryce Harper, who we just said is probably right now 3rd in the MVP race in the NL, right in the face. Mm-hmm. People everywhere just holding their breath to make sure he got up. He did. Only a little bit of blood, which was shocking. And then the guy sitting behind home plate, he was, I think everybody at home, his hands were on his head. If you go back and watch the replay, it was just, I was just staring at my TV it felt like forever.
Well, yeah,
to get up.
Especially with that slow-mo replay, you just see his cheek and his face move, at what was the pitch, 97 miles an hour it was?
Yeah,
that was nasty.
Yeah, so not great. So in comes Matt Joyce to replace Harper at first base. He leaves for the rest of the game. You're like, okay, cool, we're fine. We're fine. In steps Didi Gregorius. Very next pitch, 95 to the midsection. Down goes Didi Gregorius, and everybody's they're all happy, right, Andrew? Everybody's happy. We're all friends.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure Joe Girardi will not have any issue with this. And then the umpire does I hate when they do this. They have a meeting and they warn both teams. They didn't eject the guy who just threw back-to-back 95-plus mile-an-hour fastballs to the people in the face. Mm-hmm. Nope, no warning to him, but both teams get a warning. And, Andrew, how did Joe Girardi react to this?
Man, I love when the managers get like this. There's, say what you want about Gabe Kapler. There was a couple of his moments where, he came out and he's yelling at the umpires. It's always fun to see. So Joe Girardi comes out, obviously, first of all, upset about 2 of his guys getting plunked now. And then, yes, when they warn both sides, he was looking to get himself tossed. He came out, said whatever he said to the home plate umpire, and then I think he was throwing out. Joe Girardi himself was trying to throw out Genesis Cabrera from the game, and we're telling the umpire that's what he should do. and then the umpire says, "No, you're out of here." So Joe Girardi.
In my head, he was throwing out the umpire, but yeah, you're probably right. He probably was saying you should have thrown out Cabrera. But in my head, he threw out the umpire, so technically he should have been ejected.
Yes, right. Joe Girardi threw out the umpire, therefore the umpire has no right to throw him out. So it doesn't. Exactly. But yes, Joe Girardi ejected from the game. Yeah, well, I mean, let's get into this a little bit because you bring up a good point about both sides getting warned when the Phillies. And it's not even so much about, at least for me, it's not so much about retaliation as it is now the Phillies pitchers from that point forward have to pitch timidly. They have to be careful throwing inside. They're gonna leave a lot of pitches out over the plate. And I think even John Kruk brought it up during the broadcast where the Cardinals hitters at this point can pretty much just look to hit anything on the outside part of the plate because the pitcher's going to be afraid to throw inside, and because with both sides being warned, there's the possibility that the pitcher's ejected, the manager will get ejected, and then there's suspensions that could come with it. So it's not even so much of the Phillies not being able to get their retaliation. It's just it affects the way the pitchers have to pitch from that point forward. So, and as you also mentioned, Genesis Cabrera wasn't even thrown out of the game, which blows my mind. You hit two guys like that. Obviously not intentionally, but it's enough of a concern that he should have been ejected from the game. So
I will say, and we talked about this before we hit record.
Yeah.
That next that single by Andrew McCutchen next.
Yes.
That RBI single. It just felt so good. It was like, we got one.
Yeah, I think it was the third pitch they at bat. He, after a couple days out of the lineup, that was his first day back. He was hitting fifth in the lineup, and he roped a nice little base hit out to left center. That was very cool to see. You would hope it would give him a little bit of momentum, and they did win that game. But it was nice to see him make some solid contact in such a high intensity situation.
Yeah, and then being the winning run, they would add a run later in the game, but and then being the winning one.
And just as an update, Bryce Harper, almost right after that game, I know he went. I think they said they sent him to the hospital, but he put up a video on social media saying he's fine. And just from the video, he looked completely. You would never know that he just got hit by a 97-mile-an-hour baseball to the face.
Yeah, that video was up quick. It was like the game was over, and here's Bryce Harper.
Yeah. So he didn't play in Thursday's game, and as we speak, he is not playing in the opening game of the Mets series. So we'll see. I don't expect him to be out too long because there was no fracture or anything like that. To close out the discussion in that game, another thing that people brought up, after there was no ejection, the Cardinals manager Mike Shildt couldn't even remove Cabrera from the game because of this 3-batter rule. With relievers having to come in, they have to face 3 batters. For multiple reasons, I don't like that rule, but this is just another case of it handcuffs everybody because I think in a past season before this rule, Cabrera would have been taken out of the game by Mike Shildt. I don't think there's any reason to leave him in after that point. Clearly he was shaken up, and like you said, he gets that hit to McCutchen. So
but I mean, what if he goes ahead and hits McCutchen next? Like, what do you what do you do at that point? Like, now you throw him out, but like you should have thrown him out the first time.
Yeah.
That rule. There's many rules that we hate about this that are existing right now that we hope are changed with the new CBA, but that one is just I've always hated that and hope that goes away.
Well, speaking of terrible rules, we're going to go into Thursday's game, the final game of the 4-game set in St. Louis. Cardinals end up winning this one 4-3. Game started by Aaron Nola. 6 innings pitched. A little bit of, I guess we'll call controversy, not with Nola, but, well, maybe with Nola a bit, but with Joe Girardi. So runner gets on base. I think it was a double, so they had first base open. And the 8th batter in the St. Louis lineup, Edmundo Sosa, comes up, which, first of all, I don't know how no one mentioned. It's very funny to me to see Sosa on a Cardinals jersey. That's something that stuck out of my mind the entire series. But so Joe Girardi decides to intentionally walk Sosa to get to the pitching spot in the lineup. So that brings up pinch hitter Matt Carpenter. After the game, Joe Girardi would admit that this was a mistake. They were looking at the numbers, and he felt that Nola's past experience with Matt Carpenter was going to be enough to overcome two guys on. And then Nola decides to throw a curveball, which it did hang up there a little bit. And, I think we've seen all year, Matt Carpenter is not the hitter he once was. And I think Nola could have easily, had with a well-placed fastball, could have gotten him out there. But instead, hanging curveballs hit deep into right field. And, with the injury to Bryce Harper, Roman Quinn is in right field. Ball is catchable. I mean, it was in his glove over the wall. And I don't know if it was the angle of the way he hit the wall or just a misplay, but he ends up turning his glove, the ball falls out, and becomes a home run. I will say, to give credit, it would have been a home run without him. So it's not like he forced it into a home run. However, he could have caught it and at the very least brought it back onto the field. And, maybe it's just a, 2-run double instead of a 3-run home run. But so a lot to unpack there. I'm curious how you feel, A, about Girardi's decision to walk Sosa, B, Nola's pitch choice there, and then C, Quinn's play of the ball.
I didn't like the walk. I don't know why you would put two men on in that situation. It just wasn't. It wasn't a smart move in my opinion. I know Matt Carpenter was not having a great year. He's not even batting over 100 at that point. Mm-hmm. But it just, I don't like, and this is probably going into the analytics talk a little bit. I don't like the numbers thing because it's just pitch to Sosa. If you don't get him out, that's fine. But I don't like adding a second runner to on base. I know there's 2 outs, but I still don't like adding the second runner. So I was, and then obviously the pitch was. I like his curveball. When his curveball is on, it's deadly. But that one was just hung up, and it was just an unfortunate pitch. But I don't think to begin with, he should have been pitching to Matt Carpenter in that situation. I think he should have went after Sosa and see if Sosa could do anything. Not like Sosa's raking the ball everywhere. He's batting 250.
Yeah,
it's not like he's like a world beater right now.
Mm-hmm.
He had one hit the entire game. So pitch to Sosa, see what he does, and then if he gets on base, so what? And then you deal with Carpenter at that point.
Yeah, and then like we said, Roman Quinn, he's been frustrating all year. It's hard because I don't want to blame. Robbing a home run is not easy. I've robbed a few myself, but it's but it's not.
The videos are great.
Yeah, it's just not an easy play. You're trying to jump and catch the ball at the same time and bring your arm back over. So it's not easy by any means, but it was in his glove, and I think if the ball's in your glove like that, I think it's reasonable to expect that you hold on to it and at the very least, like I said, get it back up onto the field, and then it's just a 2-run double instead of a 3-run home run. And then if he catches it, obviously it's nothing. So, just frustrating. Continued frustration from Roman Quinn, no matter where he is. He got picked off at some point earlier in the series. I think he got thrown out trying to steal a base. So, again, we talked about earlier from a baseball standpoint, you understand to a degree why Odubel was brought up because you got guys like Quinn who are making poor plays, and you've got Mickey Moniak who collected a couple hits but still was not putting together solid at bats. So just that carousel in center field continues to turn. To finish out this game, the Phillies would get this one into extras. But a little bit of controversy there. So Matt Joyce, I believe he was the one that started the inning at second base, and on a pop fly to center field, he tries to tag up, go from second to third. But Mr. Joyce is not a young spring chicken, and doesn't have the leg under him like he used to, and ends up getting thrown out at third to end the top of the 10th. So
never make the third out at third.
Yeah,
never.
I
mean, that's how we lost the game in New York. I believe Owen Quinn got thrown out trying to steal a third. One of those games. You never make the third out at third. Just not smart baseball.
Nope.
And then just a very frustrating way to lose that game. But and then another rule which I hate, which is on a second. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But just not a smart play.
Yeah. And by the way, the walk-off was off of David Hale, and it wasn't even a hit. He did allow a base runner, but the walk-off came on a wild pitch that you would like to think JT could smother, but it was a bouncing curveball, and it's not easy to take care of that, and it bounced away from the plate, and their winning run scores. Romuto, after the game, there was a quick video of him just slamming his helmet against the back of the dugout, just frustrated. I think frustrated, A, because of the play, and B, because he probably should have gotten it at bat in the top of the 10th, or actually should have gotten it at bat in the top of the 10th, because if Joyce had stayed on second, Romuto would have been the next batter up. So just a frustrating end to the road trip. They ended up going 3-4, which in reality is not terrible. We talk about all the time that going 500 on the road is ideal. And when you're on a 7-game trip, 3 wins, not ideal, but it's acceptable in my opinion, because you should expect to go home and then win, 2/3 of your games there. So, you mentioned it before we started recording. I almost pinpointed it. I had said, 1 out of 3 in Colorado and then 3 out of 4 in St. Louis, and for all intents and purposes, they should have taken 3 out of 4 in St. Louis, but it wasn't meant to be. So. Any final reactions from that Cardinal series? Anything anything you take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, just go back to that wild pitch. That pitch was, at least according to where JC was setting up for that pitch, Hale missed that wildly. Like, he was supposed to go more like inside and low, and he went way outside. So that was more on Hale. I don't put any of that on JT.
Yeah,
it's frustrating when to see this offense not live up to its full potential. Love to see glimpses. At the end of the day, I'm happy that we stayed right around 500, 3-4. Like I said, not bad. We're still in the running for first place. We are in a weird 3-way tie with the Braves and the Mets. Yeah. I want to ask you this: Are we in a 3-way tie because this division? We talked about how this division, beginning of the season, was going to be one of the better divisions in baseball, at least top to bottom. Is it that way? Are we? It's hard for me to judge. We see the division standings every day because we live with the team. But is the division as good as we thought? Or is this division not as great?
Yeah, I mean, based on record, you have to say it's not as good as you'd expect. I mean, none of the 5 teams are over 500, and all of the teams are within a game of each other. So, I think, in fact, I know that we expected this division to be tight all season. I don't know that we expected it to be like this, where nobody can get on a hot streak. Nobody is, running away, reeling off 4 or 5 wins in a row. It's all just, the Phillies haven't won or lost 2 games in a row in the last week. It's just win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And it's, not much different for the other teams in the division. It's likely going to be like this the rest of the season. I'm sure 1 or 2 of the teams are going to fall off, but right now, there is no reason for me to count out or expect any of the teams to, pull away. There's just nothing that's telling me that anybody in this division, has anything special. The only thing I think perhaps you could think about is the Mets rotation. They have Carlos Carrasco and Noah Syndergaard waiting in the wings to come back, and then at that point, that rotation could carry any franchise. But at the same time, the Mets are the lowest scoring team in the division. So it's just
it's very weird. And I'm actually looking at the full Major League standings right now.
Mm-hmm.
The best division right now looks to be the NL West, which is crazy to me. 4 of the 5 teams have a plus run differential, which is best in baseball. Do you know what the run differential is for your San Francisco Giants, Andrew?
Well, since they have the best manager in baseball, I'm sure it's pretty good.
It is plus 24.
Wow.
The Dodgers, who are in second, have a run differential of plus 36, and you have the Padres at plus 14, and the Diamondbacks, who have gone on an 8-2 run over the last 10 games with a plus 5. The West, I thought it was going to be a 2-horse race with the Dodgers and San Diego, and everybody else just trailing. But maybe it is the best division right now.
Yeah. And the Giants seem to be doing it all with pitching. Their rotation is I forget what the stat is. They're not Buster Posey. Their other catcher caught 5 straight shutouts. I mean, their pitching is just phenomenal right now. And will that keep up the rest of the year? Remains to be seen. But wow, yeah. Anybody that says they saw that division becoming a 3-horse race, kudos to them, because I didn't see anybody expecting the Giants to
I mean, the top 3 teams as far as team earn run average, it's the Padres, the Giants, and the Dodgers, all at around 290.
Wow.
So it's great. And then the Giants lead the league in saves, and they lead the league in batting average against at 206. Which is just nuts. They are doing it literally all with pitching, and it's just very shocking to me. And maybe it shouldn't have been if I looked deeper into it. But Gabe Kapler,
yes,
we'll see if that haunts us down the road.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of humble pie to eat around here, for sure. So we are at the 1 month point of the season. Tomorrow is May 1st. So I'm curious,
what'd you get me?
Yeah. As we look at this Phillies roster, how do I want to phrase this? What do you see as the biggest change that this team needs to make if they're going to continue to compete in this division? Because like we said, right now, no one's standing out, no one's stepping back, everyone's hovering around the same 500 mark. So besides rotating guys from AAA up to the Major League squad, where do you see the biggest need, and what do you see as the biggest move this team could make to solidify themselves?
2 big needs. I think the biggest need is back of the rotation help. We just talked about pitching. Pitching is winning ball games in the NL West. You talked about how the Mets have Carrasco and Syndergaard in the wings. When you have 2 guys like that who are not even pitching for your team yet, that can help tremendous if they're 100% healthy when they come back. You need that pitching to compete in this division, and you need pitching in the playoffs. You need pitching down the stretch, and you have the back end is not helping you at all. So we definitely need back of the rotation help, and then center field. Center field has just been a black hole, offensively, defensively for the most part. There has been some good play, but when you get to the bottom of the order and you have the pitcher spot and whoever's in center field as just 2 null zones, I would love to get some center field help. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I at this point if you're going to, tell yourselves or try to tell this team that they're contenders, and from an ownership standpoint, if you're going to try to tell these guys that you believe in them and think they can win, a move's got to be made for center field, and it's going to have to be a trade. It's become pretty clear that there is no one on this organization right now that could take over center field and make it their own. So it's going to take a trade, and there are names out there. There's Mitch Haniger with Seattle. There's Kiermaier in Tampa Bay, and there's a few others out there. And
I take Kiermaier in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are options out there, but then what do the Phillies have to offer in a trade that another team can't? And so it's going to be tough, and I think this is where we'll see how effective Dave Dombrowski is as a general manager. Can he pull something off and make this team more viable? And like you said, center field, I would agree. Center field right now is the number one priority. And number two, actually, I think you said number one was the end of rotation. I mean, they're both. I think they're both equally important right now because you have a solid 1, 2, 3 in rotation. Nola, Eflin, Wheeler. They've all got ERAs that are in the 3s and doing pretty well. But then you've got the other 3 guys that have pitched in the 4 and 5 spots between Chase Anderson, Vince Velasquez, and Matt Moore. They all struggle to eat innings. They all struggle to keep their ERA low, and it's something needs to be done there. And I don't want to. Sorry to cut you off there. I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I feel like I've been kind of negative this podcast, but I will say positively. The fact that we have the first solid 3 starters, Noah, Wheeler, and Eflin, I feel pretty safe with them. I do see some bright spots on this team if we can get it all into gear, and I do see this team can. How do I say? I do like the way this team is made up, the characters on this team. If everybody can get it together. I do think this team can come together and make a run. The reason I say the back end of the rotation is such a need is because to get to the playoffs, I think you need that help. It's going to make your bullpen better. It's going to make your team better. It's going to help you win more. Once we get to the playoffs, I feel safe with Noah, Wheeler, and Eflin getting you through a playoff series. I just feel that you really need the 4th and 5th starters at least to not weigh you down and help you, make up some ground, the rest of the way. Yeah. And like I said, it's going to be a test to see, where the ownership of this team sees them stacking up against the rest of the division. And it's going to be proof of how effective Dave Dombrowski can be in putting together a season or a team mid-season. We'll find that out within the next couple of months. So I think one last thing before we start to wrap up here. What's been your biggest surprise from this team? Who stood out? I guess in a positive way is the better way to put it. I agree that we are a lot of doom and gloom when we talk about this team, but talk about a positive surprise, and I'll take the first one here. I've really enjoyed watching Nick Maton play. In spring training, we saw glimpses of him hitting very well, and it was like, okay, we'll see him in a probably in AAA, and see what he can do there with Bryson Stott. Maton didn't get as much of a look, but we knew from early on or from early in spring training that he seemed to be on the ball, and he gets the call up with Segura getting injured, and has played extremely well. He was hitting 400 or 500 going into the road trip. I think he fell down a little bit while they were out in Colorado and St. Louis, but he still had a couple RBIs out there, a couple base hits, and his defensive play. He's had a couple miscues, but he's also had some highlight reel plays, and it's really been fun to see. It's nice to see a young guy come up like that and succeed right away, and I think that's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hope maybe he gets a glimpse. Maybe he gets a spot down the road and he sticks at the major league level. My positive note is this bullpen. I love this bullpen. I think they've performed a lot better than I thought they would. It's been a 180 from last year. I don't think collectively the ERA is that great. I think we're still middle of the pack, but it looks better. I think in the long run it's going to be better. We don't have Archie Bradley, which hopefully, I don't know. Is it still a couple more weeks till we get Archie back? Is it?
Yeah, it was 3 to 4 weeks, I think, when he initially went out. So we've probably got another week or two, and that's before he throws on a mound. So maybe late May, early June is when we'll see him. On your ERA point there, they are at a 4.62. Again, mid-pack, but man, what an improvement over last season for sure.
Yeah, it's because I saw that stat that like we aren't the best in the ERA right now, but it doesn't. I don't know, but I don't know if for you if it feels the same way, but it feels better watching them.
Yes.
I think a lot of that ERA is just because it's only been a month in the season, and you had some bad games. You had that Connor Brogdon game where he gave up a bunch of runs. You had JoJo come in and not perform so well. Spencer Howard, but I think collectively. I feel really good about this bullpen, and I feel the bullpen is a strength of this team.
Yeah, and just looking at the roster here, Hector Neris, Jose Alvarado, Sam Coonrod, they all have ERAs under 2, well under 2. And, they've all they've all pitched a good amount of innings. So yeah, the bullpen as a whole, I agree, is much improved and a surprise for sure. And there are individual guys in the bullpen that are really having a solid season. So, it's there are bright spots. We complain about the team quite a bit, but there are some bright spots that shine through. So as we look ahead, Phillies have another set of 7 games they're going to play back at home this time, though. They have a 3-game set with the New York Metropolitans that actually started tonight. They are in game 1 as we speak. And actually, as we were talking about the bullpen there, an interesting little play with Chase Anderson was batting, had the bases loaded. He strikes out against Marcus Stroman, but the ball gets away from the catcher, and 2 runs end up scoring. So, as we wrap things up here, the Phillies have a 2-0 lead against the Mets in the bottom of the 2nd inning. They've got 2 more games against the Mets this weekend. Zach Wheeler will pitch tomorrow, and Zach Eflin will pitch on Sunday. Sunday night is an ESPN game, so nice little national spotlight on this rivalry. And also a bright spot in this 3-game set. No Jacob deGrom. The Phillies will not. DeGrom. So yes, that's 2 series in a row now. They've avoided having to see him. So somebody's looking out for the Phillies here. And then next week, Monday through Thursday, the Milwaukee Brewers come to town, which, we talked earlier about the Giants being a surprise out in, out in the West. The Brewers look pretty good too. They've got some good heavy hitting pitchers up at the top there, and they're doing this without Christian Yelich. So should be an interesting series.
First place Milwaukee Brewers come to town.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Go ahead.
Yeah, interesting series. The Brewers actually do worry me. They so far this year have been a lot better away from home. They're 9-3 away from Milwaukee, and they're 6-7 at home. So I am concerned about Milwaukee. They are doing very well this season so far, 15-10. They have a 2-game lead over the Cardinals in the NL Central. I would be very happy with the split. I'm going to just go ahead and say that I would be very happy with a 4-3 homestand. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would prefer to see 5 wins. I mean, I would prefer to see 7 wins, but if you're going to be a team that is, trying to separate themselves in the division, you have to win at least the series with the Mets. You have to take it to 3 to. You're at home. It's a division opponent. It's just you have to do it. And if they could pull this one out without any of their top 3 starters on the mound, then I'd feel great. Win tonight, and then it feels like a sure thing or at least it should feel sure thing they can win either one of Wheeler or Eflin starts. And yeah, the Brewers, you'll have Nola in that series. You'll have you'll have Wheeler again in that series. So it's within reach for sure to slip with the Brewers. Again, you'd like to see them take 3 or possibly 4. Yeah, I think for the second week in a row, we're going to agree here. I think 4-3 is probably where we'll end up. I think they take 23 from the Mets and split with the Brewers. I think that's where we end up there. Also worth noting, because we didn't say Didi Gregorius did get put on the COVID-related injured list, and they caught catcher Rafael Marchand. So now they have 3 on the roster. It came out a bit ago that JT was banged up a little bit from a wild pitch. He hit his hand. I guess maybe trying to play. So hopefully it's just tonight. Andrew Knapp gets a start, and then we'll see Didi back in there, sometime this weekend. And G. Segura, I would expect to be back. He's been on the injured list for a little bit now, so we'll see what happens with Nick Maton. If they decide to keep him up and play a bench role, he might even take over short while Didi's gone. They have a couple options there, so a lot to look forward to. There are positives on the horizon, hopefully. And maybe this week when we sit down to do this again, we'll have a pretty good week to talk about. At least I hope so. So Bob, any closing thoughts before we wrap up here?
Closing thoughts. I am feeling pretty good about this month. We haven't lost a lot of ground. We were in a weird 3-way tie with the Mets and the Braves for first place. I like where we are in the stand-ins. I think there's a lot to grow from. I hope this team is a lot better going forward. But it's sort of like happy where we are, but I want to be better, and I think we need to be better going forward to really. It's going to be a dogfight this whole year for this division.
Yeah, for sure. And if we said that a month in the season we'd be tied for first place, we'd be thrilled. I think looking at it the way it is now doesn't mean much, because basically the entire division is tied for first. So, we'll see going forward. We'll be back next week to talk about these 2 series with the Mets and Brewers, and hopefully have a little bit more positive to talk about. So, thank you to everyone that has followed us on social media and given us a listen. We very much appreciate it. And
tell a friend.
Yes, please tell a friend. Let them know. Have them give us a listen. Give us your feedback. Feel free to let us know what you think. So, thanks everyone, and we'll be back next week. Bye.